All right, folks, welcome to a brand new day, and we're on camera to say we called it, we told you, and here it is. Everybody should have seen this happening, but the mainstream media, the dinosaur going extinct legacies, they never knew what was about to hit them. ThatParkPlace.com reporting the same thing that only hours before we said would be the case. The Mandalorian Grogu failed to hit the $100 million domestic opening for the holiday weekend. That's 4 days, failed to make the $100 million mark. It says after early industry projections suggested that Mandalorian Grogu, Disney's latest Lucasfilm Star Wars release, would narrowly cross the $100 million mark domestically over the Memorial Day holiday frame, the updated box office totals now show the film officially came in below. According to revised figures reported by Deadline, it made $81 million domestically over the traditional 3-day opening weekend, $98 million across the full 4-day, and only roughly $167 million worldwide. Folks, you can see the numbers now. We've got it broken down on the daily box office performance. At the end of the final day of the weekend, you've got the previews loaded in here too. On the final day of the 4-day weekend, I know it's 5 days truly, but they call it 4 days. We will too. This film was only at $98 million. In fact, it was only $91,000 above being in the $97 million mark. This is starkly terrible for Star Wars. And here's what's even worse. It managed to drop 60% on the Tuesday. Now, what that means, ladies and gentlemen, is if you look at the graph for the Mandalorian Grogu, what do you see? Well, this chart shows us that it actually was overachieving on the Monday, but that's only because the chart doesn't understand it's a holiday. By the time we got to the Tuesday, we're already back into the appropriate range, and this is likely to drop significantly. People are now worried that this might get a 60% drop going in the second weekend, and oh my, we'll talk about that as well, but I want to go to the panel first. Guys, the mainstream media did exactly what we said they were going to do. They propped this thing up with big numbers. We said we don't think those numbers are going to be. They revised the numbers mid-weekend. We said we don't think those numbers are going to hold. We called out, we said in an article in That Park Place, you're saying it's going to get $19 million on the Monday? There's no way it's going to get $19 million. Guess what? It didn't, just like we said. And isn't it so sad? Here we are, Wednesday. What are we, prophets here? We got all the way to this point. They did exactly what we said they would do. And I just want to know from you guys, now that we know them better than they know themselves, do they own it or do they just mope on down? This film's going to be number 2 the next weekend. What say you? Wiz, we'll start off. How bad is this for the legacy media that we literally called exactly what they would do?
We called it. We've been calling it. We've been talking about this for months. We knew how this was going to go down, and we got it down to a science. And now people are still playing defense. Now the goalpost is moving at a really fantastic time because we have movies that have been successful in the box office. We have films that are done by, either with love for storytelling and or by people who aren't part of the mainstream that are really crushing it. Andor.
Nobody. I hear Lauren.
Lauren's upset over here.
Excuse me.
But I think with this they are moving the goalpost though, and it's the next step, and it's the evolution of accountability, because they will never take accountability. What we are seeing is now, well, wait a second, Mandalorian and Grogu, it wasn't about the movie, actually. It wasn't about the box office. It was about merchandise sales. It was about advertising. It was about collabs with other companies. And Disney's going to just make so much unbelievable money on this project. But the box office doesn't matter anymore, boys. The box office is yesterday's news. It is all about the other tie-in collabs now for these $200 million properties that need to see a return at the box office. It's great.
Yeah, and it's all about Disney Plus now. Oh, whoa, it's big for Star Wars stuff. We just had the report out of Nielsen that said none of the Disney stuff is hitting. None of the Disney stuff is hitting. What's hitting right now? The George Lucas stuff. So literally, if this does anything at all, it's just going to prove to the execs at Disney that they need to drop the sequels because they do nothing. This does nothing. And so I'm sure people are just rushing out right now to buy Mando toys and Burger King Mando helmets or whatever it is, the fake chemical garlic taste of the burger.
No, it's
I think
gross.
This is a disaster.
If you want to smell like Dagobah, you can go over to Bath and Body Works.
That gives you swamp butt, but that's a different story for a different day.
The media got exactly what it wanted because it reported the over $100 million. And to the shills and to the people that don't want to see the truth, they've now heard what they want to hear. And no amount of actual numbers, no amount of actual truth that you put in front of their faces will actually convince them anymore. They will be clinging to this, and there will be so many comments about like, no, it was over $100 million. What are you talking about? That was the point of this, and that's what happened, and that's how it's going to be forevermore.
And Marv, to follow up with that, what you're saying is that the media put these numbers out. It made it sound like it was more popular than it was over the weekend. They revised it down because they had to. Then we said exactly what they were going to do, and they did just that, which is, after all the normies forgot about it and said, oh, it made that much money, it's a success. Then in the dead of night, in the middle of the following week, they came out and said, by the way, it actually didn't even cross 100 million, but don't talk about it.
Yep, I think you had said by Wednesday this will be under 100 million, and I agreed. It's wild though, because like, the two narratives are going to be out there now, the truth and the media narrative. That was what they wanted to hear. And that's it, because you have to control the public conversation with Star Wars. It's no longer even about the actual monetary value that they bring in. I mean, that's behind closed doors. It's the optics to the fan base at this point. That's why all of a sudden we're getting like Ahsoka cost a pack of gum and $10 to make. Like all of a sudden, that's why they came out with The Mandalorian and Grogu was the least expensive Star Wars movie Disney's ever made. They're doing this because of the optics. They don't like the fact that we continuously dunk on them with their own objective numbers.
Yeah, but nobody beats The Wiz. He did all of the research in advance. He even shared it with some of us behind the scenes. There was a press release all about the merchandise. He wasn't going off just a few moments ago on a tangent. It's how they're selling this narrative right now, right, Wiz?
I mean, yeah, and there's also another layer to that where now they're starting to say that Ahsoka is the lowest costing Star Wars show of Disney Plus. So it's all about they've realized that we've got them in kind of a stranglehold. They have to be accountable. And unfortunately, they have spent absurd amounts of money in places where they can't be profitable. They still have to report back to their shareholders. And we've got them dead to rights on this stuff isn't making money. So they need to find ways to do the Hollywood accounting and make it so they didn't spend that much money on that particular thing.
No. And the bad thing here is, if we adjust for inflation, this all gets much, much worse. Because if we adjust for inflation now, Solo made well more than $30 million. And Solo, A Star Wars Story, is the film that iced the whole Lucasfilm enterprise. This, after 7 years, a Jon Favreau film, has come out and underperforms by more than 30 million adjusted for inflation.
Yeah, adjusted for inflation, I mean, you're looking at, I think it was like 195 million for opening weekend worldwide. So almost $200 million opening weekend for Solo. And that's the thing that drove Star Wars out of theaters for 7 years.
Steve, some are saying that Star Wars is now officially dead, that we're not in pretend mode anymore. There's no debate. It's dead. Mm-hmm. Still made more than 80 million. So, but boy, this could get bad over the next weekend. These numbers from Monday, this could get really bad.
So from my kids' perspective, because they're 10, 8, and 5, they've seen the original 6 movies. And so they have a framework to work from. They've seen the Star Wars logo. They've seen the picture of the Mandalorian and Grogu. They've even been gifted Grogu toys throughout the years from family members that know that they like to watch some of those Star Wars movies. They've seen the graphics on Disney Plus, because our family does still have Disney Plus. Okay, I'm sorry, Wiz. I'm sorry, but
we need to bring Wilton back because Steve can't stay here.
but they see the graphic of the Mandalorian on different things, and my kids absolutely do not care. They've seen Baby Grogu. They do not care. They've seen the trailers for this movie. They do not care. The Paw Patrol Dino movie, which my kids have all grown out of, had more buzz with them than The Mandalorian. And so what I'm actually curious of is the Paw Patrol movie going to mirror this movie? If so, I think that would be not only hilarious, but that would be an absolute slam against it.
I just have to say, we all need to remind all of the Disney shills that Mandalorian and Grogu is a kids movie right about the time that Minions and Monsters comes out later this year.
And which, I mean, that's a juggernaut. So because that's obviously going to wipe the Mandalorian.
There's, I mean, those are unbelievably profitable movies for Universal.
Correct, but the kids actually like them, and that's the funny thing. But that's where I'm like, if Paw Patrol does it, which is geared towards like 4 and under. I mean, obviously, I don't really think it's going to get too close.
What are they going to do when the Coco Melon movie hits theaters and makes as much as the Mandalorian and Grogu?
No,
movie?
yeah, actually, that probably would. But when the Bluey movie comes out and it cracks $1 billion,
look at Toy Story 5. That's going to make a lot of money. I really think it will. And
I don't know.
Probably gets $1 billion. Probably. So. Although the announcement that Bad Bunny's a pizza slice in it, not doing any help there. Let me ask you guys this to wrap the segment up. I think it's impressive that we called how the media would do this down to the day. And we even called out the numbers that it was going to be. And we said there's no way the Monday's going to reach it. And we've got people jumping on us right now. We got Scott Mendelson blocking us. We got Paul. It's honestly an honor. We've got Paul Tassi coming at us saying, well, everybody knows that the sequel trilogy is unpopular. Oh, really? Really? After like a decade of defending the Reylos, all 3 of them. So I want to know you guys, your thoughts on this. The idea that we understand the media, and I mean this, we understand the media better than they understand themselves. How well do we have them pegged at this point?
Oh, well, absolutely. Like we know exactly what they're going to do because it's the same playbook over and over and over again. They don't shift the strategy. It's Voldemort trying to use the Avada Kedavra on Harry Potter 8 different times throughout the course of those books and it never working. They just keep going back to the same thing over and over and over again.
Right.
And next weekend, there will be another conversation about this movie because it's going to be about the drop-off. Solo had a 65.2% drop in its second weekend. And if Mandalorian can get below a 65% drop-off, then they're going to chalk that up as a win as well. I'm calling it right now.
But it's not. It's not going to. It's not going to.
You guys, you don't. Here's the worst case scenario: is if Masters of the Universe gets good word of mouth, and by the second weekend, it's eclipsing the Mandalorian and greatness.
You know, it really. We definitely for a long time we've known that the media we've got the media pegged, and they won't change until they peg themselves.
Oh, all right. Well, let Jonas. The pegging begin. Not where I thought this was going, but Jonas says the peggage is happening. Hey, who's that guy?